Hello, day 4 here in my 21-day personal challenge of making videos, and I'm out in this beautiful spot, so I thought I'd make my video here. You know, it's just gorgeous with just ferns and, you know, beautiful just trees all around. It's so peaceful. And as I was walking into the bush, there were so many lyrebirds making their home and singing and, you know, making their song. And I thought, you know, I so relate to lyrebirds. They're such a shy creature. And hello, thanks for joining me out here. Karina, yeah? I think so. No. Mohammed, thank you. Lovely to see you here. So, yeah, I'm out in the bush here, and as I was saying, as I was walking into the bush area, there were so many lyrebirds, and they're just... I so relate to the lyrebird. I felt... yeah, that was significant for me. The first, you know, bird that I really noticed was the lyrebird. They were singing and, you know, making their nest, and I saw lyrebirds with their tails all fanned out, and they're such a gentle, shy creature. So while I stood a little bit back and took photos, I really couldn't get any close photos because they don't like to be photographed closely. And yeah, I thought about what the, you know, the spirit meaning of lyrebird is. You know, the spirit animal meaning of lyrebird is around. It's about sharing your voice, your authentic voice, your, you know, the truth of who you are without compromising that, you know, tender, shy, gentle part. And I very much relate to that, of finding ways to really express my message and share from, you know, really the truth of myself without, while still being, you know, looking after that part of myself which is gentle and shy. Yeah, so what I wanted to talk about is the communication between the conscious and the unconscious. It's so important to our health and well-being, and also to our growth and, you know, growth of consciousness and awareness, because that communication connects us with our inner wisdom. That communication with our unconscious mind is the also way of connecting with the collective unconscious, with the wisdom of our ancestors, the wisdom of our cultural wisdom. So that collective wisdom that we can tap into through things like symbols and dreams and myths, stories. And this wisdom is meant to help to guide us in life. And also connecting with our own unconscious mind really helps us to be more in tune with ourselves, to listen to our inner messages, and that are really important. You know, the messages that are communicated through our body, for example, that, you know, often we're not listening to those deeper messages. Our body is very connected with our soul, with, you know, and when we listen, it can really guide us. When we start to listen to those messages and that language of the unconscious and start to bridge that. So, you know, many of us, we're very focused on the outer world, on the conscious, you know, on, you know, going to work, earning the money, social, yet, you know, quite a few of my friends are probably introverts like myself, and we spend time reflecting and journaling, painting, and we like going out and everyone's got a different balance too. Even introverts like going out and doing things too. So, but I'm talking about nourishing that conversation with the conscious, between the conscious and unconscious, because it's so important to the health and well-being. It's a way of living in connection with yourself. As you start to listen and nourish that conversation, it really puts you more in touch with yourself, so you can have that flow between the conscious and unconscious and tap into that wisdom that's there for you to assist you to guide your life. This is really a favorite topic of mine, so I could talk on and on about it, and I want to just give you some main points. So I'll just say hi. Sometimes it's not very... hi, lovely to see you here. Thanks for saying hi. Hi, Diane. Yes, so some of the ways of listening to, of nurturing that communication with the unconscious mind. So as you have that flow of communication with the conscious and the unconscious. Hi Dan. Lovely to see you all showing up here. Thanks so much for showing up on my live. So I'll just keep speaking about the topic, or I sort of lose my train of thought. So some of the ways to really nourish that conversation with the unconscious mind are particularly to work with the language of the unconscious, which is symbols and metaphors and myths and stories. So it's through these working with symbols. That's why listening to your dreams, recording your dreams in the morning is such a powerful way to start nourishing your connection with that communication, listening to that wisdom from your unconscious mind, listening to that deeper wisdom of from your inner self, your inner being that's wanting to communicate with you. Also, things like oracle cards and tarot cards are a wonderful way because they work with that symbolism, and they assist us to just get quiet and just listen to what's coming through that, because it's a subtle language. It's a language that we can journal on and explore. It's a language, it's a meaning that unfolds over time, and there's not just one meaning of a symbol, there's many meanings. Like me seeing the lyrebird, all the lyrebirds as I walked into this area, that has lots of meanings that I can continue to understand and explore. Why particularly today, nature brought to me the lyrebird as part of my experience. So that is another way that we can start to listen to those signs and symbols from the unconscious, is actually through seeing what shows up in our life in the terms of signs and symbols, like particularly in nature, things like the birds. What does that mean when when a raven flies overhead, or a hawk? What does it mean when when you hear an owl's sound at night? What's your start to have that communication and just listening with those things that show up in your life that's symbolic, that can be symbolic, and explore the meaning. So communicating with your unconscious is very much about exploring the meaning, and because it's not just one answer, there's really, it's a meaning and it's exploring it. So writing is a really good way to do that, or just sitting quietly. And I've noticed I started working with oracle cards and tarot cards again, and I'm really finding it's very grounding. It's interesting that the more that you nourish your communication with your unconscious mind, it's actually very grounding, because you're not just living, when we just live in the outer world and in our mind a lot, it actually can disconnect with, our inner being, our feelings, and our whole inner sense of life. So when we can have that communication with that happening, that conversation with our inner being and our outer experience, it's very grounding and it's very enlivening also. If you have had times in your life when you've felt really disconnected from your inner being, it can be the experience can be very deadening and very, when people are very disconnected from the inner being, things often show up to assist you to listen. So things like health conditions and things like that. It doesn't have to often become a chronic health or serious health problem if you're, and it may be part of your journey. That's not always the point. But just listening to your body, listening to that communication can help to listen. When we listen on the inside, things don't have to show up so loudly on the outside. So we listen to that communication and those quiet messages that guide us, because our soul's always wanting to, communicate with us. There's that communication that's with the world through our unconscious mind that's wanting to happen. It will communicate. The unconscious mind will communicate. Either you listen and choose to listen, or it will tend to show up on the outside more loudly. And some of the ways it can do that are not so great. Things like accidents can be a message from the unconscious mind to really wake up and pay attention. I know when I hurt my back like 5 years ago, it was a very loud message from my unconscious mind that I'd manifested in the world to wake up and to start doing what I was here to do and to stop ignoring it. So it's a really good practice to find a way that works for you to really communicate, nourish that communication with the unconscious mind. So you're having that conversation's always happening, but when you become aware of it, it can really help you to tap into that wisdom to guide you. So, some of the ways are, recording dreams. Art's very good too, especially things will come through art when you're drawing or painting. For me, being in nature, really, I notice what's around me and have this doesn't have to be outer conversation, but just like a noticing of what's showing up and exploring the meaning of that, something like that. So, that can be a way of communicating with our unconscious mind. Also reading myths and stories and then reflecting on how we relate to those is another way of nourishing that conversation with the unconscious mind. So yeah, it's a deep conversation for a video. I like deep conversations, so yeah, that's what it came to me to share today. And I think it's a beautiful place to share that, because it's walking into the forest amongst the trees. It's quiet here, and there's no live birds really close, but it's really beautiful and quiet here with the sun just filtering through the trees. So I wanted to share that with you, and yeah, just share about some of the ways to be nourishing the communication with your inner being and unconscious mind and the collective unconscious. There's many ways, but that's just a few ways. And the benefits of that it's really connects you with yourself. There's that flow between your inner being and outer world that just, we feel in flow and in connection with ourselves. It just feels better. It feels healthier. We have more energy. When we ignore and push down those inner messages and that inner knowing, we tend to disconnect from our life force and our push down emotions, and there's just not that really nice flow happening in the same way. So yeah, I'd love to hear some of the ways that you connect with that deeper communication and what works for you too, if you'd like to share under the video. So thanks very much for showing up today. I really appreciate people showing up live to my videos. Thank you. Looks like the battery's going to go soon, so lovely to see you here, Annette. Thanks for showing up. Thanks, Diane. You're welcome. Thanks so much.